Awo, shalom. Shalom Rastafari. Greetings. Salam Tana. Tina Yistalin. Ene Ras Yadinos Tefari. Name of the Lineage of Society and a fellow of the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated. This is May 5th, Shabbat day. So Shabbat Shalom. May 5th, 2012. I think, if my math serves me correctly, about the 71st anniversary of the Imperial Ethiopian Independence Day. Now, as you might recall from some of our notes up here, we was touching on divine heritage, our divine heritage, Ethiopia, Amos 9 and 7, that link with the Holy Covenant, or the Kal Kidan, or the B'nai Berit in the Ibrahist Kwankwa in the Hebrew, and the link between the faithful Al Kidanawi Ethiopianoch, the faithful Ethiopians, and the true Beta Israel. And when we say Beta Israel, let us keep in mind that the Beta Israel is composed of, this right here, is composed of 12 tribes, right? 12 tribes, which the Metaf Kedus, the Holy Scriptures, states that these 12 tribes are 12 nations. 12 nations. Now, prophetically, those of y'all who are familiar with our history, prophetic history, and also the evidence from, quote, history that verifies the true interpretation of the Bible, you know that we have been scattered. We're scattered abroad. You understand? And we're scattered abroad because of disobedience. We as the ethnic Beta Israel. But this day, this particular day is significant. And we was meditating before we started to record exactly what should we present. You know, what should we do? We was thinking about perhaps uploading a video, you know, like perhaps a music video, whether it's Bob Marley or another reggae artist or Ethiopian chanting or something to say we acknowledge this particular day. Because if you look at some of the Ethiopian, the modern careless, capital C, see? Careless Ethiopians, they've taken this particular day off of the calendar, as well as many other significant Holy Covenant, right? Holy Covenant, and let's put this in right here, Holy Covenant days. Now, why are these days significant? As you might recall, if you've been following along with these particular teachings of His Imperial Majesty, you know that there are certain days that are our high holy days, right? Our high holy days. Mainly, there are 7 particular times, and 3, these occur in 3, what is known in Hebrew as the Shalosh Regalim, or the Selassie, the Salasa, the Shalosha, the 3 pilgrim. Regalim means like to, Rejal in Arabic, and Regal mean to walk. You understand? Or they are pilgrim festivals when the faithful Hebrews or Beta Israel and those even righteous Gentiles who are part of that covenant would make pilgrimage to the holy center, to Jerusalem, as we find with the Ethiopian eunuch in Acts of the Apostles chapter 8. One chapter before, Paul, Hawaria Paulos, got his conversion, and he was blinded, but then his eyes were opened up, and then he saw the truth of the black Messiah, Yeshua HaMoshiach, and he began to preach. Now, that just giving you some of the background. So we were thinking, like, what should we put forward? Now, we have some new books that we also want to share with you. You know, this is part of our continuing Rastafari book club, you know, an update to the Witness of the Stars. Now, we point out Witness of the Stars before, speaking about the whole going to heaven mythology, or what we've heard about going to heaven mythology. And this very, very good book from 1893 by Dr. E.W. Bullinger. Perhaps you might have heard of Dr. Ethelbert W. Bullinger's Witness of the Stars. But when we first published it, we left out something. We failed to make mention of the real connection, because we was looking at the fact that the book has been reprinted, and we thought that we were publishing the fourth volume of the book, but actually it was the first volume, and the fourth volume was 1921, and the first volume actually was 1893. And in reading through it, going over it again, we saw a footnote, and we explained that in our introductory notes. So there's an update to this, and we'll go into more details on that as well. There's an update to this, but it proves from a Christian perspective Rastafari revelation. This is what's significant about this particular book right here, Witness of the Stars. So those who have ordered a copy recently, I think everyone besides a few have received the updated version. So take a moment to, if you have a copy, check out the introductory notes. And we might decide to publish the introductory notes separately, because why that's important, because everyone says, well, if this is so, well, how does it connect with Christian prophecy and the truth concerning Christianity? And although it was not in the intent or perhaps the knowledge of the author, the Ethiopia connection, the Witness in the Stars connected with the significant dates of Ethiopia, RASTAFARI, Haile Selassie, as you can already tell, published 1892. That's 1 year after, 1893, 1 year after 1892. And then in 1892, there were significant celestial or heavenly signs. Now, we read about this before in, I think, Timothy White, is that his name? He did a book called Catch a Fire. And we read, he has a good introduction, first chapter, Kingdom Come, very, very good chapter, in my opinion. Check it out for yourself if you haven't, and let us know what you think about it. But he speaks that when Teferi, the Son of Man, the King of Kings, Kedemawi Haile Selassie, when he was born, there were significant prophecies, right? And some thought that maybe this is just Rastafari or the Rastas, saying this, but that there's no real significance. But there is, and this particular book right here proves much of that significance to it. So we're going to go into a little bit more of this, but we want to announce that the republish of this is out there, and those who ordered recently have received the updated with the introductory notes attached. Then we also have some of the liturgy books right here that we want to touch on as well. But getting back to our original reasoning, this is Independence Day, May 5th. Now, the Mexicans and, they have their history, Cinco de Mayo, so forth and so on. And no doubt there's some connection with that, because that's a day of freedom for them as well. Now, this is very interesting, because it's all connection of the Mayan calendar and all of this, so forth and so on. May 5th and the syzygy that occurred. If you don't know about the syzygy that occurred, I think around 2000, in about May 5th, 2000, this alignment that took place in the heavens. We put up a video, a brief video, because that's all that the news really showed about. They said today is like a big moon. They call it a big moon, and they show some clips of it, of what occurred previously with this like kind of red moon all over the place. It says the moon shall be turned into blood before that great and dreadful and terrible day of Adonai, of the Lord. So we just thought that's kind of significant, that they're saying that's going to happen on May 5th too. You understand? May 5th, 2012. But then May 5th, 2012 has for us as the faithful Ethiopian Hebrews, and the faithful Ethiopians and the faithful Beta Israel, the once lost but now found Beta Israel. There's a significance to this, because no doubt you might have become familiar with this. It's a new day. This new day speech. So when we was trying to decide, well, what are we going to what are we going to put forward? You understand? What are we going to say? Just to memorialize, to memorialize. This is a metasebia. This is a Memorial Day. And the careless and Babylon and the evildoers, our enemies, the Antichrist, want us to forget about the significance of this day. Because what reality is, or what reality becomes, is connected to what we accept as being true as well. So if we are disorientated and distracted, and if the truth is turned away from us and we pay no attention to the truth, we in a sense prolong our suffering too, because we are not noting the great victories against the evildoers that have been done. So it makes people think that there's nothing they can do about it. But this particular day is a memorial. So finally we said, you know what? We remember this particular speech here from May 5th, 1941. This is 71 years later. We said the best thing we can do, hopefully, for those who have heard it and want to hear I and I articulate it again, or for those who haven't heard it, I think this is very significant to have this word sound, this word sound proclaimed. So this is the May 5th, 1941 speech of His Imperial Majesty. The words of His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie I, Emperor of Ethiopia. And it's called A New Day. A New Day. So look it up at Wikipedia. I think they have it out there. You can look it up, Haile Selassie, May 5th, 1941 speech, and you'll find it out there. This is a little quote from it. In the new Ethiopia, His Majesty says, I want you to be a people undivided and endowed with freedom and equality before the law. Now, we've been speaking about our name, the true name. We've been speaking about our birthright. We've been speaking about nationhood, studying the Torah, the Orit. We're speaking about law and why law and the law of Jah is significant. Because if we choose not to live under the law of Jah, then we're going to have to live under the law of the Gentiles as we are currently living under the law of the Gentiles. Regardless of either way you cut it, you're going to have to live under law. You understand? Law is significant, in other words. But the law was given to our ancestors, and our ancestors turned their backs against this Al-Qidan, this holy covenant. You understand? Therefore, we as the descendants or as the children have to deal with the situation as before us. So we can choose to go along with those who have willingly or unwillingly turned their backs against the Holy Covenant, whether they knew, whether our parents or grandparents or others knew about Ethiopia, about His Majesty, about the big picture or not. We can choose in other words, the blue pill or the red pill. In other words, that's what it's about. And this right here is the red pill. You understand? This here is the red pill. And we talked about the color red and the significance of red with sacrifice and the fulfillment of all the Old Testament sacrificial types in Christ, even Christ in His kingly character, the Father and the Son, the two truths that in ancient Egypt and the mysteries was known as the Ma'at, the two truths. And interestingly enough, the two truths also have those two colors of red, of blue and red were used. Now we live in a country, America, and the flag we know is red, white, and blue. Some of us may like it, some of us may not like it, but it's important for us to understand. We shouldn't hate those colors. We should really understand the significance of those colors. And those colors were given to us in the Holy Covenant. You understand? To be the light, to be the rulers, but we turned our backs on that Holy Covenant. Therefore, we have come under the rule of the Gentiles who, I don't know if whether to say wisely enough or truly enough or legally enough, understand the importance of those very colors. So if we would take back what we have willingly or unwillingly given up, we will change this world. We would turn this world upside down. We would turn this old day into a new day. So let's read and listen to the speech of His Majesty, and this is as a memorial for Independence Day, this 71st Imperial Ethiopian Independence Day, for we Ethiopian, the faithful Ethiopians at home and abroad, and for the elect RASTAFARI. People of my country, Ethiopia. People of my country, Ethiopia. Today is a day on which Ethiopia is stretching her hands to God in joy and thankfulness and revealing her happiness to her children. This day on which the people of Ethiopia are freed from oppressive foreign yoke and eternal servitude, and on which I am enabled to rejoin my people whom I love and have longed for, will be honored as a holiday, as a holy day, to be commemorated annually as a great Ethiopian anniversary. On this day, we shall remember those heroic warriors who, determined not to surrender the great charge passed on to them by their father, became sacrifices, shedding their blood and breaking their bones for the freedom of the land they loved and for the honor of their emperor, King of Kings, that is to say, and their flag, the Arungware Bichake. The history, should we say the true history, of Ethiopia will be witness for these our warriors. The tribulations and afflictions which befell us during the past 5 years, and which cannot be recounted and numbered in detail, will be a great lesson to us all. And with industry, unity, cooperation, and love engraved in your hearts, will be a great incentive to you to be my helpers in the affairs of Ethiopia, which I have in mind. In the new Ethiopia, I want you to be a people undivided and endowed with freedom and equality before the law. You will have to join me in my efforts for the prosperity of the country, for the riches of the people, for the development of agriculture, commerce, education, and learning, for the protection of the life and resources of our people, and for the perfection on modern lines of administration of the country. It is my firm wish and purpose to merit the blessing with which God, in His mercy, has visited us. First, by showing our gratitude to our allies, the British, by the release of the Imperial troops to fight the common enemy on other fronts, and by supplying them with troops whenever they may be needed. Secondly, to do work beneficial to the people and the country by establishing in our Ethiopia a government which will protect the faith and cause it to be respected, and by guaranteeing liberty of the people and freedom of conscience. What I would finally announce to you, my people, is that today is a day of rejoicing for us all. Today is a day on which we defeated our enemy. Therefore, when we say, let us all rejoice with our hearts, let not our rejoicing be in any other way but in the Spirit of Christ, in the Spirit of Christos, in the Spirit of the Moshiach. Do not return evil for evil. Do not indulge in the atrocities which the enemy has been practicing in his usual way, even up to the last moment. Take care not to spoil the good name of Ethiopia by acts which are worthy of the enemy. We shall see that our enemies are disarmed and sent the same way they came. As Caduce Georgis, St. George, who killed the dragon, is the patron saint of our army as well as our allies, let us unite with our allies in everlasting friendship and amity, in order to be able to stand against the godless and cruel dragon which has newly risen and which is oppressing, or should we say, down-pressing mankind, humanity. I charge you to consider them as a brother and a friend, and to show them kindness and consideration. The words of Moa Anbesa Ze'im Negere Yehuda, Edamawi Haile Selassie, Siyume Egziavihir Nugusa Neges Ze Ethiopia. So my brothers and sisters, let us not forget. You know what I'm saying? Let's remember the words. If I and I forget, O Jerusalem. What it says? Let I and I right hand forget its skill. If you wonder why we're being beat down by the enemy, it's because we have forgotten, you know what I'm saying, the significance of the fact that it's actually a new day. You know what I'm saying? That means that change is in our hands. So decide this day